Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you guys covering us. Obviously a really tough loss. I feel awful for our seniors. Senior day, we have a group of young men down there that gave so much to this program, believed in us when there was no reason to believe in us. Right? We came back, and this is the group that we signed in 11 days. And we're very blessed to have those kids. We have potential NFL players in those guys we signed in 11 days. But more importantly, leaders that we built this program, on their hard work and their example. And they are definitely leaving a legacy. We have one more game, a regular season game to play, then we have the bowl game to play. But this was our last game at SHI Stadium, and I really wanted to send them out as a winner at home in their last game. But they are winners. They're the things they've done here, the things they've learned here. They're going to be big-time winners in life. And like I said, I just wish that we could have done a little bit more. Illinois, hats off to them. They made one more play than we did. And as I said to the team in the Big Ten Conference, it's really good football that's played, and they coached a little better, and they played a little better, literally a little better, and they won the game. So that's what we have to deal with. It's not easy, but you know that when you get into it. So I will try to answer your questions, but I am really proud of what these seniors, these guys that came in and really built this program, rebuilt this program, we're forever indebted to them. Questions?
Just with the conditions and the distance on that 58-yard field goal attempt by them, I guess, how does that kind of weigh into the decision of whether or not to call timeout in that spot?
Yeah. I mean, certainly, retrospectively, I wish I hadn't, right? But been doing this a lot of years. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. We were going to make sure, we were going to call timeout anyway. Maybe I should have done it before he kicked the ball. So it wouldn't have told them, oh, geez, that wind is strong. We can't make that kick. But we had to make sure we went over what we were doing again, And I said, hey, we have a timeout. There's no more media timeouts, so we got to go. So that's all right. We're going to call a timeout here in a second. But again, you do it and win the game. It's the right call. As I've said to you guys over and over again, that's what makes sports great. People love to talk about and debate, and certainly it's worthy of that, right? Because it had a part. But there were so many things in that game, so many. Like that game had more twists and turns, and I tell you all the time, every game has a life of its own. This one certainly did. But, I'm not going to sit here and say I wish I hadn't, because it didn't work out. If it worked out, I would sit here and say, yeah, I'm glad I did. And I've said that before. I've said, yeah, it was a good call because it worked. And I've stood up here and said it's a bad call because it didn't work. That's the way it goes. You have about 12 seconds to make decisions, and you make them.
Coach, what happened defensively on that last-second touchdown?
Well, we came after them, and they got the ball off, and then a really good player ran through our guys. Now, could we have had more guys? Yeah, I mean, that's another debate you could have when it works, and it has before. You're great. You came after him. If you lay back, what are you doing? The number one thing fans like to talk about is the prevent, right? So, again, it's right when it works, and it isn't when it doesn't. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I wish we could do it again, because it didn't work today. But you make the decisions with the information at the time, and it didn't work out. I feel bad for the guys, but again, I always say this. If a guy drops a pass or there's a penalty, that one play didn't decide the game. Right? There's a whole list of plays that make up a game, and they take on the life of their own. I don't defend, nor do I pat myself on the back when they're good decisions. That's your job, is to make the decisions. You're a decision maker. And I just feel, like I said, the biggest thing I feel pain for is those guys that was their last game in that stadium. They couldn't leave with a W. They've accomplished a lot, but I really wanted that for them. But, we don't always get what we want in life.
Great. They scored a touchdown in their last 4 drives, a touchdown in 5 of their last 6 drives. What were they doing to be so successful offensively? What were you guys doing defensively to stop them?
Well, I'm going to watch the tape, but as you look at it, it seemed like the quarterback, they protected better in the second half. The quarterback throughout the game is a slippery guy. He's a good athlete. He was able to get out of some trouble. And we had some unusual things happen in the secondary that usually don't happen to us. We had 6 penalties. That's unlike us. I'm not sure. When you look at it, you make your own decision what you think. But it is what it is. When they're called, they're called. I don't argue because they're called. What are you going to do? Once in a while, I get heated, but that's not going to change. So.
Greg, a quick one first. Was the defense ready on that last play? It looked like there was a lot of scrambling around before the ball was snapped. Was there a situation there where you might have called a timeout before that play was snapped?
Well, first off, you can't in college football call back-to-back timeouts, so we had called it on the – but no, they were 100% ready. That's a stem. So what we do is we were off, and then we shifted into a blitz. So everybody ran into it for effect and for positioning. Yeah.
I guess on the field goal attempt,
Mm-hmm.
Is the situation part of it into consideration for you when you're making that decision? Is it always, all right, I'm just going to go up there randomly? What goes into your head when you're calling that, and the fact of the length and the wind and all the conditions, the rush time? Was there anything that snapped up and said, you know what, maybe this is, let it go?
Well, no, because I did it, right? But yes, you consider all that. I never have said I think you always ice the kicker, nor do I always say you never ice the kicker. I think there's a feel thing involved that, and you gotta go with what you think at the time. The wind had switched during the game, so right at that point it was teetering back and forth. So I just felt like all those factors, and the other factor is I wanted to make sure that our block, everything was sound in case they ran a fake or something. Just go over it. So, like I said, maybe if I had to second guess myself, it might be that do it before he kicks the ball. There's no reason I have to let it get that late. But, you've covered the games when I've done that back in the day when you could call back-to-back timeouts. I've iced guys 3 times and they've missed kicks, and man alive, that what a strategic move that was. It's just you got to do what you feel, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't.
Final question, Jerry.
Greg, what did you say to those guys in the locker room when you walked in?
Well, that stays between us, Jerry. You know that. But I care about them deeply. I love those kids. They're young men. They're not kids anymore. They came here kids. That's it. That's what I feel about them. Guys, I appreciate you covering us again. Thank you.